With God, all things are possible. This should be the foundation of our thinking, the foundation of our mindset. Proverbs 3:5-6 sums up how we should live our entire life here on earth. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all that you do, and He will show you which path to take. As humans, our thinking, our abilities, our understanding is very limited compared to God. As you see in the scripture, He says, trust in the Lord and do not depend on your own limited understanding. God knows the end from the beginning. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So we have to understand that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Only God does. We don't see what's around the corner. Only God does. So we have to live this life by trusting in the Lord, having faith that His way is greater than our way. I love the scripture that John the Baptist said. He said, Christ has to become greater and greater, and I must become less and less. So our lives have to reflect more of Christ and less of us, because we are limited in our own abilities. Now let's look at Moses. You remember God told him to go share this with the people, but his own limited ability, his own limited vision, his own limited understanding made him afraid to share with the people, because he was afraid of what they may say. But with God, He was able to free the Israelites from Egypt. Sarah with her own limited understanding, her own limited thinking, doubted God. But with God, she was able to bear a child at a very old age. These are two great examples of how our own limited abilities can affect us. But if we choose to move with God, all things are possible. The things in your life that you think is unable to be done, is impossible, if you include God. If you just include God, watch what He will do. This is the foundation of our thinking, trusting in the Lord and not depending on our own limited understanding. The book of Ecclesiastes, this is one of my favorite books in the Bible. It said anything that's done apart from God is meaningless. It has absolutely no value. So let's make this our foundation to having the right mindset. With God, all things are possible. His way. His way is the best way. But let's break up this scripture. Let's really fully understand this Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. I'm pretty sure all of us have made decisions before based on our emotions and circumstances in our lives that we thought it was the best decision that we should make. It's common sense, or I had to make a decision right now and I didn't have a time to approach God. And sometimes those choices could or could not be God choices for our lives. When you start understanding that as a human, your ability, your understanding is limited compared to God, maybe that will help you start making decisions differently in your lives. We know nothing compared to God. And that's why we are called to have faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, but not yet seen in the visible world. Our limited understanding cannot fully comprehend all the things of God. You have to ask yourself this question. Are you going to trust God's way, or are you going to trust your own way? And your answer will determine the quality of life that you live. Now, in this second part, seek his will in all that you do, and he will show you which path to take. After we come to realize that we all, as human beings, have limited understanding, we need to seek God's will for our lives. This means opening up his word, building a closer relationship with God, showing reverence and honoring him by obeying his word, and asking God to show us his will for our lives, and living in true dependence on God. One scripture says he knows the best pathway for our lives. Every human being have a designated pathway specifically just for them. There's no one else on earth that has the same journey as another individual. But only way we can follow this pathway is by seeking God's will. And his will is perfect. It's complete. It has no faults. It embodies the main reason we were created. So seek his will, and the path ahead will be straight. The straight path does not mean that it will be easy. You will experience some hard times. It means that no matter what, God will fully equip you so you can complete your journey and stay on course. This right mindset is the foundation to life. Even as I speak about finance on this channel, we have to understand our ways, our understanding, our abilities are limited. We have to approach God on every area of our lives. So when it comes to getting out of debt, accumulating wealth, saving, investing, giving, building a business, planning, it's all limited compared to God. So we need his input entirely on every areas of our lives. So I encourage you to walk on the path that God has prepared specifically for you, so you can enjoy the fullness of life that God has to offer.